So welcome, Trisha. Welcome again. We are at the day 3 of Quantum Time Travel, Module 3. So today, all about frequency, energy medicine, and mythic time. So we are going to talk about time, of course. So let's start our session with the usual dropping down to our breath, just for a few minutes to prepare ourselves to enter timeless space. So let's have some deep inhalations and exhalations, please. So welcome once more. And we are going to start a little bit of reading, reflection, and talking. So every emotion we can talk about like a vibration from this perspective of a vibration. So every emotion, energy in motion is a kind of a vibration. So we, in a way, have walked this spiral of time. We entered it. And we were deprogramming this notion of the medicine wheel embodiment. But now and today, we are going to touch this and enter this frequency dimension of time to understand it from that point of view. So if we say that every emotion is a vibration and every thought is a frequency signal, then we can understand that every timeline is kind of responding to this. Well, let's call the setup of our emotions, thoughts, and actions, we can call it a song. So every timeline is responding to this song that we are kind of singing throughout our energy body. So this is our language, our frequency, and it's communicating with a certain timeline that we are aligned with. So before we begin, let's realize then that we are this frequency which is in motion, and time is flowing through us in that way. And this was what we were speaking in the session, one of the sessions before, where we stated that to be a part of the circular time, we have to allow time to flow through us instead of around us, and then we become this still point, the axis in the middle of the circles of time. So understanding of this kind of, makes us becoming architects of our timeline, or even authors, of our future timelines. So let's talk a bit about the frequency is time in motion. So the energy body, our energy body is kind of like this map of time. This is our luminous energy field. And it's like a library of memory and potential, both from our previous lifetimes and from this lifetime. So chakras, our energy centers, are these, we can call them like time memory hubs, and they're storing all these emotional imprints, ancestral echoes, and even the seeds of our future. So when energy flows freely through these centers, then also the notion of time is more free and more flow around us. And it kind of makes this fluidity of time around us to feel more alive and present and magnetic as well. So when energy is stagnating in these centers, we can also experience that time is freezing, and in certain areas of our life, especially if the certain energy centers are having issues with stagnational energy, it needs to be cleared. So this can affect certain domains of our life. So trauma in childhood is also like one of these memories in our energy centers. And it also reaches our brain in the adult age. And this becomes, in a way, like this energetic knot in our field. So this is often held by our third chakra, by our solar plexus. And it is shown like in adulthood, like looping the same emotion or a narrative. And this is really done all the way until we release this pattern. So we need to become aware of our, especially childhood woundings, to be able to release them as adults. So let's talk a bit about energy cords and timeline entanglement. This is very interesting. So every relationship that we enter, it leaves energetic threads, cords, we can call them. If we had intimate relationships within our family, within, well, our partnerships, these can kind of also leave something which is called love cords, trauma cords, or even karmic bonds. Some of these cords are nourishing, and some of these cords are draining our energy. So we can sometimes, by entering a karmic bond, we can kind of loop back into one of our old timelines. If we need to learn a lesson which we haven't learned yet in our adulthood, then we sometimes can repeat, a pattern, like finding a partner again, which is nothing else, but a repetition of the old relation, in a new package, because we haven't learned the lesson yet. So this is interesting. We can see ourselves, from outside and help ourselves this way, not to enter a new agreements, like old agreements in a new package, like karmic bonds. Very interesting and important to know, to be able to avoid. So energy medicine is teaching us that we can cut and release these toxic cords as they anchor us to some kind of painful past. So we can also strengthen the positive cords that we are attached to. And we can kind of align all these cords to our future potential and mutual growth. And this is when we have a purpose in energetic bonds that we are creating with others, within our families or within our partners, friends, relationships. So this can really, in principle, be strengthened and valued by conscious awareness and by evolution. So when a cord, for example, is cleared, if we want to release a cord, then the timeline which is attached to that, it kind of collapses, but it then liberates one again then. So let's say that, like, in one luminous session, which is all about cord cutting, well, a 10-year-old emotional weight, it can kind of disappear, from your field. And this really feels like a great burden has been released, right away, actually, when this happens. So this is, in a way, we can call it a time travel through our energy body when we release cords, when we cut them, or where we strengthen our cords. This is all felt in our field, really, really in real time almost. So what is then, like, let's say, what is stagnation? It's kind of like this frozen time. I want to talk a little bit about this aspect of stagnation in the energy centers. So if we ever have felt stuck in our life, and I think most of us, we have experienced this time before or later in our lives. So what does then happen when we stagnate in our life? We repeat the same relationship cycles. We are kind of unable to move past a certain grief or a fear. Then we are living, in a pocket of frozen time, in a way we can say. And we're not developing optimally our experience here in this embodiment. So our aura, our luminous energy field, it becomes to hold this echo of unprocessed emotion and this moment where the trauma or the lesson occurred, you know. So the nervous system kind of continues also to broadcast this frequency in a loop, you know, the traumatic. So life can also respond to us with synchronicities of repetition until we free this energy that we have to free, which is our lesson, and we can so say, for our evolution. So let's speak a little bit about luminous healing and collapsing these past imprints through energy medicine, breath work, and shamanic practice. So what can we do then? Is number one, we can kind of identify the frozen timeline in our body or in our field. We can bring light and breath to it, kind of like consciousness, awareness to this story of ours. And this will kind of soften this energy to bring awareness on it. And it will begin to integrate the loop in our wholeness. So then we can release this energy, if we decide so, into the field and allow the spiral of time to move again through us. So the Kero and their teachings are calling this process illumination, to bring something to the light, and then extraction of that something which we brought to light, if that be needed, extracted to free the stagnant energy from our field and to make available and make possible for us to simply to live, to embody this optimal destiny timeline that we all want to live in our lives. So we can agree then that when this charge of energy is released after bringing it to light, well, then the memory is kind of reorganizing in our field. And time is feeling different. It kind of unfreezes because our trauma is released or a heavy bond is released. So literally, we become younger. So because even our cells in our bodies are no longer carrying any chemical echoes of any old stories. So we literally become younger. We free so much energy by these practices of illumination and release. So what are the daily practices that we can kind of stabilize our frequency current in our field to live in coherence? So let's say that from the morning we can kind of make this energy sweep of our body, kind of like check all our systems. Sit down and visualize in our mind's eye all of our energy centers and kind of make a thorough check. Let's say from bottom to top or from top to bottom. So we can visualize then this light spinning through our chakras, you know, and cleansing our energy fields. We can kind of also even imagine when we get up in the morning that we are clearing and cleaning the night's residue, stagnant energies, preparing our energy fields for the new day and for the new happiness in the new day. And when we infuse gratitude in this, let's say, exercise that we can do in the mornings, well, then, you know, we are really truly attracting and collapsing our future selves into the field by including the elevated emotion, you know. So let's say just 3 minutes of this heart-based focus and intentional gratitude, we can stabilize this field and we can really align our energies from the start of the day to kind of function in the most optimal way so that we can have a smooth sailing, so to say, throughout the day. So what can we otherwise do if we want to check our energetic cords to certain individuals within our family or within our circle? So we can do this process called cord checking. Like we can imagine our relationships as threads. And we can then, you know, just by observing these threads, we can see which of these threads is beneficial for us, you know. And then we can release actually by our intention all of those that feel heavy or binding in a way, not liberating. All of these can be dealt with, and released so that your energy is flowing free, you know. So every evening we can make this practice as well, like a spiral scan. We can review our day then, and we can review it with love and forgiveness. So no energy is kind of stuck in our field, in that way. This is a beautiful practice, like 3-minute practice from the morning and 3 from the evening, kind of have this optimal uh, energy spiral of time around our bodies, but all with the elevated emotions. This is the most important part of all the practices here with the field. We're going to speak more about that in the future as well. So, Trisha, I got a few reflective questions, and I'd be very happy, that you possibly engaged with me. So, thank you. So, first question is, are there any places in your life where time kind of felt frozen with a certain emotion? Is there a grip of when a certain emotion in your energy body environment, which kind of makes you feel that time is frozen there? It is not resolved. So some energy which is connected to something in your past which is unresolved. Can you feel a certain emotion like that in your field?
Grief.
Hmm.
Grief and loss.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, those are very heavy. And, sometimes, because I deal with a lot of grief, and, sometimes parts of grief that we got, and I realized this by myself, we kind of holding on to our grief. Our grief becomes kind of like this holy thing to us, part of us, and we kind of don't want to release it because it becomes such an important part of us as well. But this energy is important, to be released, because this does not mean that we are not respecting whatever we are grieving of and from. It simply just means that we want to reclaim this energy that is keeping our field stuck in this moment of time, and this really empowers us. It brings back to us to our energy field. So it's important to deal with. I know all about grief, Trisha. Thank you for answering honestly. So are there any relationships or events which might loop you into old timelines? Do you have some of these kind of relationships?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm. So thank you. This is worth thinking about because this is really connected to what we have been talking about now here, how we can get stuck in emotional loops and emotional dramas and energetic bonds. And this is all depleting of our potential and in our energy field. And it's all very much worth looking at. Is this truly really beneficial for us? And how can I continue my life and my everyday life in the best possible way with awareness of these energies being stagnant in my field? Should I release them or should I deal with them in another way? All is worth, considering. So this was an important part of our session, an important part of the healing of our field. So, Trisha, a very fun part here now, mythology and mythology around the notion of time again. Time is what we are speaking about here in the quantum environment together. So time can be looked at from the mythological perspective as a god with many different names. So if we say that time is like this living deity, so we can speak about time which was long before the creation of clocks and calendars. And humans were kind of speaking to these deities. These were kind of like these energetic living forces. And often they were imagined like God was imagined like a wheel or a serpent or a river. So this is also proving the cyclical vision of time, like a loopy thing, spiral thing. So across cultures, time was never just a measurement, it was a relationship with everything around us and with ourselves as well. So we were kind of being called to dance with this relationship with our environment and the time. So to pray to time, even in a way, to travel through and with time. So in Greek mythology, there are these two mythical figures, Kronos and Kairos, they're called. So Kronos is representing the devourer. This is the one dualistic part of the time. And this is the linear notion. It's the linear father. It's like this ticking inevitability, the linear time that we are living in this reality. And he's kind of this harsh master of our schedules and also the weight of the mortality, the, the fact that we are going to die at a certain time point. And in art, often the Kronos is a devourer of his children, whatever he produces, it's symbolizing that the linear time consumes everything and all. So another deity, the name is Kairos, and this is this another dualistic experience of time. And this is the divine moment, like this window of opportunity. And he becomes then this timeless opening, the spiral of time, of chance, of novelty, of destiny. So he appears when our soul is ready to leap outside of time. So in quantum time travel, we're kind of leaving Chronos behind and we are entering this state of Kairos, the state of potential, the state of novelty. So what we are doing here, we are stopping to be slaves to clocks. We are riding this opening of transformation, which is inevitable for us. So let's talk about another myth around the wheel of time. So in Tibetan Buddhism, there's this notion of the wheel of time, which they call Kala Chakra, the wheel of time, Kala Chakra. So the wheel of time is showing us that all beings are moving through cycles of birth, death, rebirth. So liberation is coming through like seeing this wheel of time, visualizing it, and not getting trapped by the time. So let's say that meditations then on the wheel of time, Kala Chakra, they can be very helpful for us to be able to see time but release it, not to be passing around it, but allow it to pass through us. So meditation is a very helpful tool, which Buddhists are original creators of, we can say as well. So we can kind of imagine these mandalas in our mind, or we can even create a mandala. And by our visualization and intention, we can collapse time into stillness by meditation. And then we can witness these interwoven spirals of personal and cosmic evolution. And this is why I say for myself, well, I love to study the mind to understand the cosmos, because this is really just a projection, We are in a way a universe living, seeing itself, live, embodiment of the universe. This is what I love to believe, it's just a belief that I got. So important to me. So when we witness these spirals of time, we can connect our personal journey to the cosmos. And this is mirroring this shamanic medicine wheel. And both of these are maps of cyclical time, actually. And both of those are keys to walking this spiral of time consciously. So, in the North, we also spoke about the Norns and across cultures, Hopi time. We had the Napa Kipa notion of time in the Kero Nation. Across cultures, these guardians of time are taking many forms in the myths, you know. So the Norns, in their mythology, they have these three women which are spinning the threads of fate for the past, present, and the future. So, and even the gods in the Nordic mythology, they respect the loom of these three feminine divine archetypes, which are spinning the threads of fate in the Nordic mythology. So Napa and Kipa from Kero Nation, as we learned, Napa means front, but it's the past. And it's kind of visible and known. And Kipa, it is behind, but it is our future. So this is, our future is kind of unseen and it's kind of approaching us. And time is walking backwards, but it's guided by our ancestral vision. This is a super important notion of time, the Kero Nation. So Hopi Nation, they also are looking at time from the cyclical nature, from the cyclical perspective, and ceremonial as well, and even prophetic. So each action then, it begins to echo in the future cycles, making every moment that we experience kind of like with the potential and the seed of destiny for becoming. So together, these myths, they just remind us that time is not a line. It's kind of like this living creature, living loom, energy. And we are both the thread and the weaver of time, our experience. So the serpent, the wheel, and the prophecy loops. In the myths, they're often spoken about in symbols of movement and return. Then we can speak about the Ouroboros. This is this serpent eating its own tail. And this is a symbol of time, symbol of eternal return, like these cycles of creation and destruction. So in shamanic journeying, the serpent is guiding us to shed old timelines, to release trauma. And this is the serpent medicine, of course. So the wheel is kind of this universal image of time. It's kind of these tuning cycles, you know, or tuning and turning cycles, which we repeat and also evolve in time. So in this Kala Chakra medicine wheel, there's this concept of the Dharma wheel and the sun discs. So when we see the wheel, we kind of automatically, our mind, our soul is stepping out of the line and into the spiral of time. So we can then speak that these prophecy loops around our life, these become moments where myth and personal life begin to converge. Synchronicities, they kind of strike in these times, you know, and we are living inside of this living story that transcends the linear mind. This is where notion of cyclical time really becomes interesting, becomes to flow through us. So let's talk about myth a little bit more as a memory activator and this archetypal timeline connected to that. So myths are not just old stories. Myths are kind of like these encoded memory keys. And they're designed to activate our soul and our soul's timeline awareness. So when we see our life as a myth, then every challenge, then it becomes like an initiation. When we speak our life as a story, we claim this authorship over our lifetime, and living mythically, it truly transforms all the anxiety into adventure, trauma, and trial into things that we can overcome. And we can kind of desire into destiny unfolding. Everything that we wish becomes possible for us to achieve. So, how do we then interrupt fate and become the author for a time? Every myth offers a chance to teach us to interrupt this unconscious fate. And these are the moments when we recognize that we are in a certain loop. The moment when we name the archetype or a pattern that we are repeating. And then we can step into this authorship and recode our story, really. Because time is actually bowing down to awareness and intention. And this is what we are practicing every time that we meet in our modules and in our school sessions. Intentionality in the field. And this is truly, with awareness, like the key to installing timelines in the future and kind of allowing time to flow through the field of ours. So let's have a few more reflective questions. Trisha, which mythical image or are there any time gods that you have been looking into through the myths? Or are there any that I mentioned here, like Kronos or Kairos, which are resonating most with your current life? Or are there any kind of deities representing time which you could connect kind of to your notion of time?
Probably more with Kairos at this point.
That's great. Kairos is very, very cyclical, and it's kind of weaving us to be able to come to this field of infinite possibility, and really live up to our energy being. So that's a good thing that it's like that. Thank you. So if we then saw that our lives are a mythical journey, would we then be able to kind of like look at what chapter of our life are we in now and what intention is unfolding? And this is actually being aware of where we stand in life. And this is also how we get time to cooperate with us, by being aware of where are we at now in our life? Are there any stagnant energies holding us back? What can we do to release? We also mentioned that earlier in the session. Very important. Staying aware of which energetic cords are beneficial for us and which energetic cords are keeping us stuck in the loop and draining our energy. So we are at the main transmission now. So this is about frequency coherence and vitality alignment. And this is a little bit more science now from the myth. So if we are frequency in motion, then everything we are, our thoughts, emotions, our heartbeat, our breath, is this frequency in motion. And then time is not something that we pass through, it's something that our frequency creates then. And then when our energy is scattered, stagnant, or incoherent, time can feel heavy, fragmented, or slow even. But when we liberate our frequency and it is coherent, life is truly flowing through us. And it feels really happy to live a life. It feels at ease to wake up and be happy, when we free really our timeline from all the traumatic energies and loops. So opportunities then they kind of begin to align effortlessly. And our body is entering this state of a renewal and repair, really. So it's so important to liberate ourselves from these old timelines that are keeping our health, stuck, and stagnant. All this can be revived and really mobile and refreshing itself always. It's so important. So we can then say that coherence is this portal of regeneration. And we know that coherence means that our heart, brain, and the field are broadcasting this same signal, unified signal. And then our heart rhythm becomes smooth and synchronized. So brain waves become harmonized with our emotion. So then our energy field becomes brighter and stable and expansive. And then in this state, the cortisol drops, and we kind of trigger these repair genes and activate them. So you have heard about mitochondria. These are producing energy in our mind. This is what we inherit from our mother's lineage, mitochondria. So the cells start communicating and they regenerate faster. So actually, by taking control of stagnant energies in our timelines, we really activate this enormous healing potential that is within us. And we actually become younger, really, really, truly, it's the truth. It happened to me personally when I released really a lot of stagnant energy from my past. So, and I have seen this happen to other people as well. So it is the truth, I guarantee this. So cellular renewal and DNA rejuvenation. What is modern research telling us about this? So epigenetics and neuroplasticity are confirming this, what shamans have already known for millennia. Our environment is our thought, and emotion is as powerful as our physical environment then. And then elevated states like love and awe, gratitude, joy, they're always sending these signals to our DNA to express itself in a healthy and youthful way and to start repairing itself. So when we live in this frequency alignment, then our cells are receiving this message, it's safe to thrive. Let's be happy, let's repair, let's rejuvenate, And then the spiral is kind of moving freely. It's not stuck in this moment of past, some kind of trauma that we can sometimes be really willingly or non-willingly staying stuck in, because we kind of are attached to this energy, and a detachment has to be done to free a lot of luminous energy in our being. So just by daily coherent practice, kind of being aware of this connection in the field, this will also allow this, we can call it the time travel of our biology. We will be able to collapse the weight of all timelines, and we will be able to install vitality of our future selves into our field. So when we extend this spiral of our life force, then we kind of enter this alignment with the field of infinite possibilities. So once our body and frequency enter coherence, we become this broadcast tower for new timelines. And every thought becomes charged with elevated emotion, it can this entry signal to the quantum field. And if you remember last session, we spoke about the concept of harmony, Aini, which is the Keronation reciprocity concept of giving without expectation, you know. So when we practice Aini, this is harmony, giving without expectation. This multiplies our energy return to ourselves. So then every breath, you know, kind of in a way becomes coherent with the heartbeat. And it becomes really, in real time, aware that choosing reality is possible before it arrives to us, that we are the creators of our present and the future. So this is actually what it means to live as this quantum time traveler, which our course is about. And this is all about aligning our past, present, and the future selves into one field, which we also did the other session by journey. So we will kind of begin to walk this spiral of time with the full energetic charge of our life force. And then time will, in a way, bend to serve us and our purpose and our vitality. So let's have a few more reflective questions for this part. Say when we feel most alive and balanced, coherent, what kind of frequencies are we then broadcasting to life? Can you mention maybe a few emotions which you feel that you be broadcasting where you feel alive and harmonic?
Joy.
Thank you. Well, joy is such a powerful, elevated emotion. Really, it vibrates really high. Thank you. So, can you say, for example, what would it feel like to embody your future self's vitality and coherence today? How would it feel for
Peaceful.
you?
um, just calm and peaceful.
Makes great sense, you know, and it should feel calm and peaceful and safe and harmonic, you know. Makes great sense. Thank you. Think it feels the same for me. So, Trisha, we have reached the part of our session where we are going to have this guided outro meditation. So we are going to step into heart-brain coherence. So let's place one hand on our heart and another hand on our belly. And close our eyes and drop down into our breath. I invite you to inhale through your nose to the count of 6 and exhale through your mouth through the count of 6. Just do your best. And then let's, with each breath, feel our hearts and brains synchronizing. And allow this wave of peace and stability to be spreading throughout our body. Now let's visualize a golden spiral rising from the base of our spine to our crown. And with each inhale, the spiral is spinning faster, clearing old and any old and unnecessary stagnation. And with each exhale, the spiral is then radiating light into our luminous energy field. And it's filling the room with your frequency. Now, in this step, we're going to activate the cellular renewal. Now, let's imagine every cell in our body glowing softly, like millions of suns, of golden suns awakening. And then whisper to your body, you are safe, you are thriving, and you are timeless. Now imagine your DNA strands spiraling, receiving light, repairing, rejuvenating, remembering their original blueprint of vitality. Now, let's align with the field of infinite possibilities. Now, let's visualize standing in the center of the quantum field. And this is a luminous web of infinite timelines and is stretching in every direction, above, below, all around. Threads of possibility there, waiting for your signal. Now let's send gratitude, love, and joy into the field. And let's allow these elevated emotions to ripple outward in concentric waves of light. And whisper to yourself, I align with abundance. I align with vitality. And I align with the spiral of infinite life. Now let's collapse time into the present moment. Imagine your past self, present self, and future self walking toward you from three directions. And then they merge into your heart center, becoming one coherent, luminous being. Now let's hold this state of wholeness for several breaths. Let's allow time to dissolve into this eternal now. Now slowly bring awareness to your breath and to your body. Allow yourself to rub your hands together if you want so. Place them on your heart if you wish so. And welcome. Welcome, Trisha. Thank you for today. Thank you for being here together with me on the journey on the module 3 and module 4 coming up tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. I hope to have you on the journey with me tomorrow as well. Thank you for
Thank
being here.
you.